Domestic violence in MMA. That's going to be the topic of this video. But before we get started, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's hit that intro. So MMA, UFC, Bellator, these organizations are no stranger to domestic violence claims against fighters. We've seen it happen over the years. Most recently, we've had an uptick in domestic violent arrests. Most notably, John Jones, Chuck Liddell. Those two definitely popped up on our radar recently, but Mike Perry's been involved. And there was another recent cut of Mr. Pena, who was accused of assaulting two women. So why is domestic violence a part of MMA? I think even previously you had the Machine assaulting his girlfriend as well. Why is this a thing? Obviously, MMA fighters are in a violent, competitive sport. But what makes them more susceptible to domestic violence over other athletes? Is it the violent nature of the sport that causes them to lash out and act this way? Because I always argue that mixed martial arts or martial arts in general gave people a discipline, right? It's a very disciplined art form. Whether you take karate or taekwondo or jiu-jitsu, the goal of training isn't to hurt everybody around you. It's to protect yourself, learn self-defense, or in the MMA sport, obviously learn how to effectively strike and not be struck. So why is it that we're seeing an uptick in these domestic violence claims? Is it the lifestyle that these people are living that is breeding onto that? I don't know, but I feel like we should talk about it. We should create a dialogue around why this is happening, because these are notable figures in the MMA community. John Jones is considered one of the greatest of all time fighters, yet he cannot seem to stay out of trouble, whether it's DUIs or his most recent domestic violence arrest. And where does that put, what kind of light does that shed on the MMA community? Conor McGregor has been accused of assaulting people as well. Maybe not women, but he did hit that dude in a bar. So is it just that they're fighters in general and people like to egg them on, and that, leads them to more prone to violence outside of the ring? Or is it just that some of them don't control their temper? Is it a product of just getting hit in the face a lot? I don't know, but I know that something needs to be done about it. We need to talk about it. And, every case is an individual case-by-case basis, but it seems to me like we're going in a direction where we're seeing this more prevalent. Now, obviously, a lot of these fighters are more of the veteran fighters. Chuck Liddell hasn't fought in a long time. John Jones, he's still pretty active. And, Pena was very active in the UFC, the angry Bob Ross or the violent Bob Ross. Well, these guys need to stop taking out their anger outside of the ring. They need to save it for inside the octagon. So what do we do about it? Does there need to be mandatory programs for them? Or maybe not even mandatory. I don't like to use the word mandatory, I guess. That's the wrong way of putting it. Should there be readily available resources to help them if someone notices that maybe they're feeling a certain way or not managing their anger appropriately, or, maybe stress, the stress of not making enough money, the stress of camp, the stress of media and promotion. I mean, being an MMA fighter, when we see them in the octagon in a pay-per-view, or even an undercard, that is a huge moment for most of these fighters. But the actual day-to-day life outside of the Conor McGregors and the Henry Cejudos and, the champs is very much, most of the time, regular life, like you and I. Most of them have jobs. Some of them train, own a gym or train other fighters. A lot of them still have a day job. But you don't see a whole lot of transition outside of the MMA world. And I feel like there should be more programs focused on that. In the wrestling world, in the WWE world, that was a huge problem for a lot of wrestlers, is that they abuse their body for many years. Their career starts to come to an end and they don't have any fallback. They burn through their money, whatever they made, and they don't know what to do. All they've done is this. I feel like there needs to be more emphasis maybe from the organizations to help these fighters out. We don't want to see anyone get hurt outside the ring. We don't want to see anyone, throw their life away over something such as a domestic violence abuse claim. John Jones is facing serious consequences. Chuck Liddell could be facing serious consequences. Violent Bob Ross, very serious allegations. So what do we do about this? I want to know. I want to hear from you. I want to open a dialogue. If you'd like to come on the show and talk about it, I'd love to have some more guests on here as well. So hit me up for that in the comments. We can hook up, get you on here via Zoom and talk about it. But there's something has to be done, because we've had, just in the last 2 months, 3 UFC roster and ex-roster fighters arrested on domestic abuse. That's a big deal to me. So I hope you like this video. If you'd like to open a dialogue, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about it.